Is there any hope for your marriage? You've read a book, you've watched videos, you've listened to podcasts, and the constant refrain that you've heard is narcissists can't change, narcissists won't change. Either deal with it and accept this unchanging reality or get out of the marriage. Well, if you're like lots of women that we talk with at the Russell Healing Institute, you don't want to leave the marriage. Maybe because of faith convictions, maybe because of the kids, maybe because of financial constraints at this stage in your life. You've recognized leaving is an profoundly expensive, costly option, and so you're turning over every stone. Is there a way that I can make this work? Well, if you haven't watched the previous 2 videos in this series, I strongly recommend that you do. It'll make more sense what's coming in this video. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Don Russell. I'm the founder and lead of Russell Healing Institute, and one of the things we do here is we do Detox Your Marriage. This is help for women that find themselves in a relationship with a narcissist and want to find a way to make it work. Again, I'm not telling you whether to leave or whether to stay. That's your choice, and if you're a person of faith, that's the decision to work out between you and your God. But if you do want to stay and wish there's a way to stay, then I strongly encourage you to watch this video to the very end, maybe watch it twice, because it's going to be very challenging in a good way and thought-provoking. Let me remind you that I'm a therapist, a psychotherapist, but I'm not your therapist. And so this video is for educational purposes. This is not therapy. Find a therapist in your local area or online if you want a therapist for yourself. There we go. Okay, so in the previous video in the series, I promised that there's actually a new way of looking at your situation and a new angle that you have not heard about or seen or considered. Because what we do at Russell Healing Institute is we dig into the research on narcissism, we dig into the research on narcissistic abuse, but we also dig in, beyond the surface stuff, narcissists can't change. We go beyond that into the deeper stuff. How do narcissists change? And we also dig into the research on attachment bonds and also the research on interpersonal neuroscience. So, stuff you've never heard before. What actually helps? Well, for you, definitely, if you're in a relationship, an extremely difficult relationship with a narcissist, of course, you need support. You need to know that you're not alone. That's super important, and so I encourage you to watch some videos just to help you to understand that you are not the only woman with this problem. Support is important, but what you really, really need is you really need healing for yourself. Let's not forget that you've been wounded, you've been victimized, you've been traumatized, it's not too strong a word, by the behavior of your partner. So you need support, but you need healing. And I want to be super clear here that support for yourself does not simply mean piling on the hate for your partner, the contempt for your partner, the objectifying of your partner. Even that statement, narcissists can't change, we're not talking about a human being anymore. We're talking about a them, right? Like in the recent election, right? People were talking about, this profound split and lack of listening between Democrats and Republicans. I'm not going to weigh into politics in this video, but I do want to remind you of how when one side would talk about the other side, they were talking in very objectifying terms, right? Those people are crazy, those people are this, those people are that, right? We're not talking about a human being anymore. When you seek out support within your community, within a support group or online, I strongly encourage you to be very discerning that that group is not simply hating on and shoveling contempt on your partner, because your partner is, depending on your worldview, created in the image of God, loved by God, all sorts of things. Okay, with that being said, moving on. Definitely you need a new approach to this relationship if you're going to survive, and if the relationship has any hope of surviving. Really, you need to find the power and access the power to design a new marriage for yourself. Check the link up there to find out more about designing your marriage. But in this video, let me unpack what that means. And the best way to make sense of it is I'm going to just talk through the conventional advice, the conventional ideas that are out there in very popular books, very popular podcasts. If it's not just leave the marriage because narcissists can't change, then the advice that you've been getting is advice that is advising particular behaviors. Gray rock is a very common and popular one, right? This is the way you should behave when he misbehaves, right? And it needs to be said, that takes a tremendous amount of effort to sustain, which is exhausting and fatiguing for you. So it's not sustainable. Let's be clear about that. And let's also be clear that choosing a behavior that's not in coherence and alignment with how you feel on the inside to try and get a different behavior from him, isn't that manipulation? Right? And I don't think that is in alignment with your integrity. These strategies that advocate just do this behavior, exhausting, and it's manipulation. We need to do better than that. And you can do better than that. So let's cross out just do different behaviors. And let's also look at the much more popular and kind of almost mainstream advice, which is repeat affirmations to yourself and fill your thoughts with new accepting thoughts and loving thoughts towards yourself, and make yourself think about yourself in more strong and profound ways, right? So basically cognitive therapy on yourself, right? Manage your self-talk is a popular way to put it. Well, let's be very clear. This is the therapeutic approach that was very popular and was very, very mainstream in the 80s and the 1990s, and also requires tremendous effort. And it also is very hard to sustain in the face of adversity. Change your mind. It works really well for mild problems, and I advocate it for mild problems. But in the level of difficulty of a marriage like yours, it's just not sustainable. It just doesn't work. So let's cross out do a different behavior. Let's cross out simply think different thoughts. Here we go into the deeper stuff. You might need to watch this a couple of times because the implications are profound here. One of the smartest people I've ever heard is a psychotherapist by the name of Dan Siegel, and he is a leader in an emerging field called interpersonal neuroscience. I'm going to give you his definition of what a mind is. We know what a brain is, right? A brain is a structure inside your skull. It weighs about 2.5 pounds, and it's kind of looks like I don't know what, cauliflower or something. Basically, a brain is the thing between your ears, enclosed in your skull. That's your brain. Dan Siegel tells the story of when he asked professionals across a wide variety of disciplines, okay, so we know what the brain is, right? The 1990s was the decade of the brain. Tremendous research, tremendous good research on the brain. But he asked a wide variety of professionals and practitioners, so what's the mind? And nobody could answer the question. And so he led a team across a variety of disciplines to work out a definition of what the mind is, which is really funny, right? Because everybody uses the term, right? I changed my mind and I and I stayed home from the party on Friday, or I have half a mind to, leave my spouse, or, I have it in my mind to, go to the gym next, as a New Year's resolution, right? We use the term, but what is it? What is it? And it was hard to define because it is so complex. Here's Dan Siegel's definition of a mind that he created interacting with psychiatrists, psychologists, sociologists, anthropologists, historians, right across a wide variety of fields. So your mind, which is a term you use all the time, is an emergent, self-organizing, embodied, and relational process that regulates the flow of energy and information. Wow, simple sentence, super profound. Just want to highlight a couple of things because it points to where your power lies. First of all, your mind is embodied. So that therapy from the 80s and 90s, just change your thoughts. It's trying to get the tail to wag the dog, right? The mind is embodied, so the mind includes the brain between your ears, but it also includes your nervous system and other clusters of neurons in your body. Your mind is mind-body. That's important because as I found over almost 30 years of doing psychotherapy, it's extremely difficult to just change thoughts. But if we change feelings that are held in the body, and we know how to do that, we have techniques to do that. If we can change feelings in the body, embodied reactions to situations, then changing thoughts is much easier. In fact, it's automatic. So the mind is embodied. The mind is a relational process. Now, this is going to blow your mind when we unpack this. The mind is a relational process. So the mind is not like this material thing like the brain. The mind is us. It's me to you and it's you back to me. It's this interactive relational process. So it's a we. And that's actually very profound and has strong implications. Your mind is influenced by your partner. Your partner influences your mind. You have tremendous power over that process if you know how to harness it. The mind is self-organizing is the third point I want to kind of highlight from that definition. Self-organizing, meaning the mind interacting between you and your partner is going to search for harmony and homeostasis, and that might be positive and constructive and life-giving, or it might be destructive and degrading to both of you. If you're watching this video, then almost certainly you're experiencing the latter. You are unhappy in the relationship, your partner is unhappy in the relationship, and you are causing each other unhappiness. That's not your fault. That is just the evolutionary process of a dysfunction in the relationship. Because as I mentioned in the last video, your husband or your partner and almost certainly has brought trauma and damage from his family of origin into the relationship. And by now, you have been damaged and victimized in the relationship. And so you are doing a dance together. That's the self-organizing, but nobody's happy with the dance. Using some deeper implications, which I can't get into in this video, some of the deeper implications from interpersonal neuroscience and this definition of mind, we have created a strategy that women are using right now to actually transform their relationship. It's quite amazing, it's quite unorthodox, it's quite profound, and it's tremendously powerful. Women are shocked and surprised at how easy it is for them to implement and how powerful it is in terms of accomplishing the change. So what I want you to do is subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Watch the other videos in this series if you haven't already. And click the link below to find out more about how we might help you. Find out more about the context, the situation that you find yourself in from a interpersonal neuroscience perspective. See you next time.